which is going to be held by Ameliaismore. She is a firecracker. I don't even know how this woman sleeps, to be honest. She's had an incredible career trajectory in many different fields: entertainment, talent. She's also a published author. Her latest book is SheEO versus CEO. And so her workshop today is going to be based on the principles she teaches in her book. And it's meant to be about how we as women can become the SheEO, not only of our professional life, but also of our personal. How can we be the masters of our life? And so with that, I would love to introduce Ameliaismore.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sarah, one more round of applause for Mel. Love you, love you. Well, first, thank you so much for being courageous and coming out. You know, I always say the early bird catches the worm, and you ladies that are in the room already took the first step as far as, you know, being serious as to what you want to do, and information is the key and knowledge is the way. So give yourselves a round of applause for sitting in these seats right now. So let's talk about it. A SheEO. Who can tell me what a SheEO is? Anybody? Raise your hand. Anybody? Somebody.
A woman's version of a CEO?
Exactly. Because you know what happens? The reason why I created this term is I was a female that was with 100 other men. I was general manager of Rough Rider, and I was president of Rough Rider Lifestyle. Prior to that, I was an A&R administration at G Street. Still a male-dominated position. Prior to that, I was A&R, one of the first female A&Rs at Atlantic Records. So I was always breaking the ground, and it was me and like dudes, you know? And I was like, there's no difference. But every time they looked at me, there was. So I said, you know what? Let's not hide it anymore. Let's really address us being female entrepreneurs and female executives. And so the term SheEO came about. Now, let's talk about that difference. Show of hands. I want to go through each one of these, and I want you guys to tell me whether or not you feel it's true or false. The first one. Women take things as they come versus men have to have a set plan with a projected outcome. How many feel that's true? How many feel that's false? Okay. Next one. Women accept people for who they are and work with them versus men have to put you in a box or a category to know how to work with you. How many feel that's true? How many feel that's false? Okay. Next one. Women always help and want to be liked versus men do their job and nothing else. Who says that's true? Who says that's false? Okay. Women will take on more work without added compensation versus men take on more work to get a new position and more compensation. Women, how many think that's true? How many think that's false? Interesting. Last one. Women tend to act on emotion versus men act on passion. How many feel that's true? How many feel that's false? Interesting. And there was quite a few of you that didn't raise it true or false. So let's go through it. First, women take things as they come versus men have a set plan with a projected outcome. Honestly, ladies, and I can always tell who's answering based on a woman's perspective versus who's answering versus a man's perspective. That is very true. Men are very goal-oriented. Women tend to kind of like take things as it comes. This is my job, this is what I'm going to do, but if I can do this and this to help this one and that one, I don't know, maybe it'll benefit me later. The truth is yes. Okay. The truth is yes. But knowing that helps you understand why they're coming to you and why you should or should not participate. 2, women accept people for who they are and work with them versus men have to put you in a box or a category to know how to work with you. That is so true. Ladies, men label us every single way, and later on I'm going to go into those labels. But we don't necessarily do that. Do any of you have categories for your men that you work with in your office? Or any of your male employees? You don't have, you're the fortunate one. But seriously, we don't do that. We turn around, we might give general categories like, oh, he's just such a pain in the neck, you know? But we don't say that he's aggressive, or we don't say that he's an enforcer, or we don't put him in a box. But they put us in a box all day long. Women always help and want to be liked versus men do their job and nothing else. If you said this is true, it's very true. I watch women in the office place many times what I call the setup. Somebody will come to them and say, listen, can you help me out with this? It's a chore that he doesn't necessarily want to do, that knows that you have the skill set, but it's not your job requirement, but because you want to be a team player and because you want to be involved, you take on that. And this actually can apply to some of the females in your executive office that take on those male qualities. You have to be mindful of that. And we'll go into that later. But that's very real. Do not get caught up in the setup. Women will take on more work without added compensation. Men take on more work to get new positions and more compensation. I find the women that are goal-oriented, the women that really want to work up that corporate ladder, quick to say, it ain't my job. But the female that wants to be included, that wants to so-called secure her position, will do whatever comes across her desk. Am I right? Yes? No? Have you experienced this? Come on, ladies, wake up! Last but not least, women tend to act on emotion versus passion. I feel that is completely, wholeheartedly false. And we'll go into that later. It's so funny how when a woman takes the same tenacity and the same trajectory as far as what the same conviction as far as what they're saying, they're emotional. But a guy does the same thing, he's passionate. So you, as a female in the workplace, being the only female in the workplace, must emphatically redefine that. Which gets into my next category, definitions. Okay, take a minute and think about the definitions that have been given to you. What are they? Can somebody give me some definitions that people have said about you?
Bossy.
Bossy, okay. Anybody else?
Controlling.
Controlling. Anybody else? Manipulative. Anybody else? What about you?
Definition or character?
Definition. What people say about you.
Well, it's my field, but like maybe kind, compassionate.
Excellent. Kind, compassionate. And that can be a plus and a minus. You have to know how to use that correctly. But there's definitions given to you. Now the second question is there power in a definition? Yes or no, ladies?
Yes.
Yes, there's total power in a definition. All the more reason why you must know how others are defining you and also decide for yourself what is your definition. That's more important than what others are defining. And do that comparison. What people think of me versus what I think of myself. And what I know to be true. Because the only person that can portray that is you. Why is it important to define yourself? I just went into it. Because if the young lady that said she's bossy, right? That's what people say about you. But you might be organized and very controlling as far as knowing what you need to do and don't allow anyone to deviate from that goal, correct? And so consequently, because they have to do what you said to do, they call you bossy. But my term for you is effective. You're a leader. And you have no qualms about taking that reign and saying, no, you're going to do this. You see the difference between the two? The leader is the one that goes up the corporate ladder. The bossy one is the one that's sort of controlling. And some male counterparts, especially if you're trying to work up the corporate ladder, will be like, I don't really want that bossy chick around me. So it's your job to redefine it. So what do you do when your definition defines you? I'm going to tell you a term that they used to call me. Bitch. Oh, goodness, I used to hear that so much. But I used to tell them, before you call me that, I want you to know what my definition is. My definition is simple, beautiful, intelligent, talented, corporate, hustler. Yes, I'm a bitch. But the odd thing about that is when I redefined it, all of a sudden I wasn't being called that anymore. Uh-huh. That is the power of a definition. Because now they were giving me a compliment. They were saying I was talented, I'm a hustler, I'm beautiful, thank you, but intelligent. But if you notice in that definition, nowhere in that definition says I'm a woman. Knowing it, everywhere in that definition talks about my skill set. So quickly, in that definition, what I'm doing is switching your mindset, both consciously and subconsciously, to who I am. Beautiful, intelligent, talented, corporate, hustler. Don't hate the player, hate the game, play it better. So let's go back to the last question. Should you define men? Yes or no, ladies? How many ladies think you should define men? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you think you should define men. How many feel like it's a waste of time? Raise your hand. All right, well, let's go in it, because I defined it. I feel that you should put men in boxes the same way they put you in boxes. So I gave you 4. Very simple, because we don't really do this. So I wanted it to be a conscious effort. The first one is the emperor. The emperor is the man in the office that takes you underneath the wing and says, I'm going to show you how to do this. Because I know you're talented, I know you're skilled, I know you could be a SheEO, but I'm going to show you how to work this out. But be careful of the false emperor. The false emperor is the gentleman that acts like he wants to empower you. But really what he's doing is researching your weaknesses so that he can wind up taking you down because you're a threat. Because ladies, believe it or not, when you come into an office and you've got gumption and you're standing out, some of the other men are like, how am I going to beat this? You feel me? She's going after the same job I'm going after, and she's a tough cookie. What can I do to destroy that? And if you think about the boys' network, all we have to do is just be gossiped about within the boys' network. So, you must look for those emperors and be careful of those false emperors. The next one is the enforcer. I dealt with that a lot. Because I was the one telling people what to do, sometimes my brothers, and I love my brothers, don't get it wrong, I love my brothers. Couldn't do what I do without them. But sometimes they would push back. And they'd be like, you need to do this, and you need to do that, and you need to do this, only because that was their inadvertent way of taking control of you. And sometimes it's valid, but other times it's a distraction. You must ascertain which one that is. And the way you do it is to say to yourself, does this apply to my toolbox? Do I use these skills that he's asking me to perfect? Or is he just doing it because it's something that he can do and he knows I want to be the best and he knows that I'm going to listen to him, so boom, I'm going to do it. Right? And now you're following what he said as opposed to you calling the shots. So what you have to do as an antidote to that is like, sometimes just put your foot down and be that SheEO. Don't worry about what I need to improve. I need you to improve X, Y, Z, elemental P right now. Get on point. Now all of a sudden it's like, dang. But there she goes with that B word again, but that's okay. The next one is the egghead. And ladies, I know you know him. Y'all are all laughing because you know him. No matter what you do, you're not going to be good because you're a female. And that's okay, ladies. That's okay. Use it to your advantage. So what I say especially for your project managers, anybody that's in management and has to present to a room full of men, the first thing you do is identify that egghead by saying, Paul, I know you're not going to like what I got to say. We've already talked about it. However, give me 5 minutes to do my presentation to get everybody on the same page, and I'll give you the floor. Ladies, what that does is A, recognize the egghead in the room, B, take away his power, and C, position you to be even that more amazing, because imagine if he finally agrees. Well, hot damn. You know what I'm saying? It's like, she's amazing. Yeah, you gotta go with her. Just that simple. But if he doesn't agree, guess what? Nobody cares. The power that he had by saying, no, that's not right, you're not doing it right. It's like, yeah, we already knew you were going to say that. Nothing. You see the power in that, ladies? It's about a strategy and being strategic. My last one is my favorite one, and I love my everyday brothers. My everyday brothers are the brothers that come into work, just want to do their job and go home every single day. They don't complain. They don't cause problems. They're like the nice lady in the office, you know? The lovely lady in the office. But if he complains about you, your problem went from here to, oh my God, everybody in the office is talking about it. Because Michael never complains. So every single day, especially if you're a SheEO, especially if you're one of maybe 2 women in the whole office, you must speak to Michael every single day. Every day. And but Michael, how's everything? Do a temperature check. Because it's very key. Because if the other person is trying to sway him in a direction, he's going to come to you. And the magic word to say to Michael is, you know, if there's ever a problem, you come to me first. First is the operative word. What that does is that takes him out of the boys' network and puts him in a safe place where he's neither here nor there. He's just doing his job every day. Feel me? All right. Next, it's our definitions. Raise of hands. How many heard the term lovely lady? She's a lovely lady. Uh-huh. What about undying resource? Like, that's my go-to girl. No matter what, I can always go to her. How many of y'all heard that? Mm-hmm. The diva. She's such a diva. How many of y'all said that? The smart one. She's just such a smart cookie. She's a smart one. How many of y'all heard that? One of the boys. That was me. And that's a very special place to be. But it's also a very hard place to be. Because lots of times when you're one of the boys, and I go in depth in my book about it, you find out things that you really didn't want to know. As an executive, I had to know where my team was all the time. And let's keep it honest, ladies, men being men, sometimes on the road, they're doing this and they're doing that. And so I meet the wife and I meet that. And I have to be cordial to both because I need to know where he is all the time. That's being one of the boys. The golden rule with one of the boys is the need to know. If you don't know, you don't need to know. But that knowledge is impeccable. That knowledge helps you understand how to navigate. Hard ass, how many of y'all heard about that? How many of y'all heard that term? But usually the hard ass is the chick that's in the office that just doesn't give in. She knows what is right. She knows what isn't right. And she wants to make sure she gets credit. Because lady, how many of you in this office, in this room right here, have done something and been like, oh my God, the point person for getting it done. But when it came time for the credentials and the credit and, the accolades, it went to your male members of your team. Yup. I see somebody nodding their head. It happens all the time. The hard ass is the one that doesn't let it happen. She's the one that says, no, I was the one that thought of that. That was my idea. And there's nothing wrong with that, but understand what that title means. Oops, sorry, let me go back. The last one is the hit it and quit it chick. Ladies, this is very real. And many women don't realize how many guys talk about females in the office that are quote unquote manhunting. Yeah, see? They're laughing in the background. That giggle came from the men. So that's how real it is, ladies. But because they know you're manhunting, and let's keep it honest, who's the person in the office that knows all the information? Anybody tell me? When it comes to executives, who's the person in the executive cabinet that knows all the information? Anybody?
The smart one?
Hmm?
The smart one?
No? Yep, I heard it. Who said it? That's right, the secretary, the assistant. That's right. And 9 times out of 10, that's a female's position. And the reason being is because females, we're generally very good at multitasking. And we can do 4 or 5 things at one time. And lots of times we get those jobs because he knows that I can do my job and his job when necessary. But when you become the hit it and quit it chick and you're manhunting, you get all the attention and all the flowers and all the accolades and all the sweet comments just for the sake of information. Be mindful of that. Which leads me to the next slide. Strategy. When you become and want to become a SheEO, it is all about chess, not checkers. I see so many women in the workplace, they take care of the job that they need to take care of and they wait for the next one. They don't strategize what their next move is. They constantly wait for it to be told. If you're trying to rise up that corporate ladder, or just even try to better yourself, you should consistently and constantly ask yourself, what is next? What do I want to do next? So, you should plan several moves at a time. Because in the business, it's about the business playing field. Knowing that men play chess, not, you must ask these 4 questions. Anytime and every time. And it should be a quiet mental questioning. Especially when they come to you and ask, why are they asking me this question? Is it for information? Is it for positioning? Is it for strategy? Why are they asking me this question? Second, who gains from this information given? Because, ladies, I've seen this so many times in the workplace. There is a subject matter that really needs to be talked about, but nobody has the courage to talk about it. So they go to Ann, and they say, Ann, what do you think about this? Well, I think it's stupid. No, thank you, Ann. They run to the CEO and they say, Ann said it was stupid. Who do you think the CEO is now going to go after? Not the messenger, but the person that was set up, even though the messenger feels the same thing, but didn't have the gumption, the balls, or the brass to tell the truth. And ladies, lots of times we're the ones that do. We feel that we must volunteer information. So you must be very strategic. How can they use this information? I just showed an example of how they use this information. So you must really ask yourself that question. If I answer this question, who's going to use it? And how are they going to use it? And last but not least, should I even answer that question? If you know it's a hot topic in the office and Paul comes over to you, be like, Paul, stop bothering me with that. I got way too much work. Go on. You answer that. You already know how you feel about it. Why are you asking me? Revert to the first question. Why are you asking me this question? And the reason being behind that is understanding your position within the business playing field. By show of hands, how many of you ladies like to be helpful? Thank you. By show of hands, how many of you ladies like to be thankful? I saw a couple of hands come up. That is a curse word. I'm going to be so honest with you. You have to be very mindful about being helpful. Because sometimes it's that distraction, that time consumption that they really, really need, but it takes you away from what you need to complete, and your supervisors are watching you help Paul and Michael and David and not doing your job. What do I need you for? Obviously, your job is not time consuming. I'm paying you to help everybody else. That's not the truth. So you have to be very mindful of what it means to be helpful. Be certain to ask these questions. Again, does helping take me away from my job? Because whether you believe it or not, sometimes being one of the few females in the office, all eyes are always on you, whether you're watching or not. 2, why are they asking for my help? Is it to benefit them or is it to benefit me? Be mindful. How are they utilizing my input? That example that I showed before. Sometimes women get called to do a certain task because of the mere fact that they know it's going to fail. They've already figured it out because they play chess, not checkers. And so you're all excited because you're being pulled into a team, but then they give you the one thing that they know is not going to work. How is my input being utilized? Be mindful of that. And I'm not to say that this is something that is a conscious thing. It's a learned behavior. And sometimes guys don't even know that they're doing this. But when you start asking them, why you ask me? They stop being mindful like, oh, damn. Yeah, why am I asking you? And last but not least, who gains from my help? As much as possible, ladies, whenever you do extended help outside of your job, make certain the answer to that question is me. If it's not, be mindful that that might be the very help that hurts you. Are you guys still with me?
Yes.
All right. So now let's talk about the business playing field. Because another error that I see some ladies do is they don't really take inventory of who they are, where they sit within the whole corporate structure, and where are the gaps for them to grow. And we are masters at finding the holes. We're masters at it. Because I don't know if it's the nurturing nature of us as women, but we always know where something is. So, here are some tips. An excellent criteria. You must identify the game, which is the business, the players, your co-workers, their position, and most important, your position within the business playing field. So let's just say you're an assistant, but you want to be a manager, and you're noticing that a lot of your jobs is doing the PowerPoint presentations and gathering the data or doing the research. At that point, when you see that that's mostly what you're doing, researchers get paid way more money than an assistant. So then you start saying one of two things. It's about strategy, it's about position. Either you redefine yourself and you say, no, I'm not the assistant anymore. As a joke, you say, I'm the researcher. Because I'm always researching all the information. I'm the strategist because I'm always giving you guys the strategy. I'm no longer the assistant. Plant that seed. And then you begin to grow. For your growth criteria, if your position is not what you desire, learn how to reposition yourself by honestly assessing the company's strengths and weakness and where you fit in within that gap. I just gave you a good example. But that's very key, ladies. And we're pros at that. Because how many times have you said, this ain't going to work because X, Y, Z, and elemental P? You already know where the holes are. That's why 9 times out of 10, I call us the janitors, not the architects. We have to switch our positioning and our strategy to become the architects. Don't come to me after the problem is a problem. Come to me before it's a problem. Because I'm a great problem solver, I'm going to identify the problems before they become a problem. You see the strategy behind that? And that's also your criteria for growth. Last. So now you know your position. You know where you want to grow to. How do I stay there? This is the last tip. Remember, most importantly, learn how to utilize your resources to position yourself as an asset for the company to accomplish their goals and projections. Always stay on point to where the company wants to grow. And then look at your Rolodex or your resources, your contact list, and also your skill set. And constantly remind the powers that be that make that decision on your growth where your strengths are. And I'm certain you have something that they don't have. I'm certain of that. But that acknowledgement, knowing where you lie within that business playing field, is what exactly winds up getting the baton passed to you. That's how I went from general manager to president of Lifestyles. Very simple. I knew how to create business models. That was my strength. I knew how to take an idea and turn it into money. And so here's 5 ideas. The thug workout, the motorcycles, the dog food, the clothing line. Figure that out. And we did. So, emotion versus devotion. We talked about that earlier. They say women are so emotional. Oh my God, she's so emotional. No, I'm not. I am just as passionate as you and probably more articulate than you, and that's frustrating the heck out of you. Because I know how to articulate my point. And I know how to look at you and evaluate your strategy versus my strategy and get my point across. Yes, I have done it a few times. I'll never forget, I put it in my book, an example. We were meeting with an old school legend, remarkable man. His accomplishments were amazing. And I had my 25-year-old intern, and I had my male mentor. So we're getting into this discussion about marketing. And he's old school, so he didn't really know some of the new methods. And he was saying, no, we have to do this and we have to do that. And I said, yes, but from an equity standpoint, this, that, the third saves more, 10 times more money, da-da-da-dee, da-da-da-da. I started running it down, shut him up. He didn't like it. So then he said it again. And I said, no. Now, this was my project, and I'm not going to fail. And I'm not going to do this strategy just because you're older than me and you've been in the game longer. No, bro, no. No. So what happened was he felt to go to that boys' network. So he went to my mentor. My mentor didn't want to go against him because they do too much business together. So my mentor didn't want to go against me because he knows I'll be like, really? Really? That's not what you taught me, because he was my emperor. So he was like, well, you know, she's got a point. That wasn't enough for him. He went to my intern, who had no experience. But mind you, I'm a SheEO, so I told my intern, under no uncertain terms do you divide this camp. I don't care what happens in this meeting. If you feel that your opinion is not my opinion, you have no opinion right now. Seriously. Because if you do that, then what happens is that makes me the female in the meeting. And I was bringing him for him to observe how to negotiate and how to stand ground. So if he complied, then that would make me look like Boo Boo the Clown. So strategy, I already set the tone. And if you want to work with me, you got to listen and play by my rules. Because this is my game. I got the ball. Feel me? And men do that all the time. Trust and believe. So you have to acquire that skill set. And so what happened was, it was really funny. What happened was he then went to my intern and said, well, what do you think? And he said, sir, no disrespect, but I'm here to observe. So I'm going to yield to my mentor. And I looked at him, the OG, and I said, checkmate. He didn't like it, but he swallowed it. And I asked him politely after that. Because ladies, it's not about like mushing it in the face. Because men have a nice ego and you want to work nicely with that. But I said to him, sir, can I ask you an honest question? He said, sure. Because now I'm yielding to him. See the strategy behind it? I said, why is it whenever a woman stands her ground, she's emotional? But when a man stands his ground, he's passionate. And he stood there and he thought for a minute. Then he looked at my mentor and he said, I see why you like her. She's a smart one. Never answered the question, but he got the point. You understand what I'm saying? So ladies, it really is about strategy. Whining, don't do it. Anytime you have an objection, always base it on fact. Take out the word, it's not fair. I don't care about fair. Business is not fair. It's not right. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be right. But if you state why it's not right, you can and identify the root of the problem, you then can solve the problem. And this is something we as women in the workforce really must do. Like one time in a meeting, we gave an idea, and then another guy thought it was a great idea, and he repeated the idea, and all the guys in the room was like, yeah, that's a great idea. I said, hold up. It was like, what now? I was like, I just said that 3 minutes ago. But nobody heard me. Was it you digesting it? Or should I talk in a lower tone? And ladies, that's the other advice I will give you. Whenever you're doing a presentation, like I'm presenting to women, so I can talk in this tone, because it's not an unfamiliar tone. But when I'm doing a presentation to men, I talk slower, I talk deeper, I make sure I make eye contact, and I wait. Especially when I make a point, I wait. I let it sink in. And we sometimes as women, we go at this pace and we talk about this and we say this is what and that's this and this is that and that. And all he's hearing is the Charlie Brown teacher. Mama, 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 mama. And again, the guys are laughing in the back of the room because they know it's true. It's true, ladies. These are the pinnacle differences. But when you know it and you can utilize it and manipulate it, SheEO, you go. So, instead, learn how to change your facial expression. Oh, the game face. The game face is very important. I don't know how many meetings I've been in, and I already know when some women are disgusted. They flip the hair, they put the hands on the hip. All of that is sign language. Instead, do like they do. Cross your arms and look right at them. Yep. Then they're like, what is she thinking? Why has she got her arms crossed? What's going on? What's she planning next? They listen to you more. You got to remember, men, and this is something that I learned just being one of the boys, they have the women in the workplace and the women at home. Lots of times, they clump them in one category. Women! But we're two entirely different beings. Because I know the woman I am at home is completely different than the woman I am in the workplace. In the workplace, I've got job to do, I've got goals to reach, I've got missions to accomplish, and I don't like losing. So I always tell my team we're only as strong as our weakest link, and I'm forever hunting for the weak link. And don't be that, because I'm going to be all over you. Right? But when I'm home, I'm like, easy going. What do you want, baby? How's everything? How was your day? That's not going to work in the workforce. It's just not. So be mindful of that. And I guess, I call it the mama look. Because when you're raising children, you know that stern look you give? Like, no, you didn't. Ladies, that look works in the workforce too. I don't know if it's a mama thing that gets brainwashed, but when you give that look like, what? It's like, uh-oh, wait a minute. Uh-oh, maybe I should rephrase that. Try it. Try it in the workplace. You'll see. It's like, and guys, when you check yourselves, right, see if she gave you a mama look. Because 9 times out of 10, she did. So, communication is key. Step 1, identify the person you are speaking with according to their listening and communication skills. That is so key. When you're talking with men, it is so key to know how he talks. We as women, we just talk, battle, converse, and then we check it out. But guys, again, they're so purposeful. Some like pleasantries before they talk business. And if you go straight to business, you already turned them off. Others are so direct, they can't stand pleasantries. So don't say, hi, how was your day, whatever, can I ask you a question? Ugh. He's already disgusted by that third question. Shut up, get out of my office, why are you wasting my time? So you really must know who you're talking to and know how to talk to them. 2, make certain your communications is a dialogue and not a monologue. Far too many times I've seen women go into an office place and they want to correct something or they want to get their point across and they go on and on and on and on and on and on. Stop. Take 2 sentences and then ask a question. By asking that question, you'll see whether or not he's actually hearing you. And you'll find sometimes he really is not. That means I didn't hear a damn thing you said. See? They're laughing again. I'm trying to tell you the truth, ladies. But if you ask them a question, that goes to It's the funniest thing to watch, but it's real. So really make sure that you have a dialogue whenever you're conversing with your male counterparts. Oops, sorry, I did it again. Step 3, as I said, ask questions within the conversation to confirm understanding, effective communication. And remember, effective communication is never about making your point. It's always about your listener receiving it. So you should always make sure that after you made your point, you give them that option to give back what you said to them. And you can do it by do you agree? That one question has to make him surmise what you said to him and then make a deduction whether or not he agrees or not. So, let's recap. We talked about the differences. We talked about the definitions. We talked about the 4 basic categories of men. We talked about the importance of strategy and asking why. Critical. We talked about position yourself within the business playing field. We talked about the necessity of a game face, that mama look. You don't gotta yell when you got a mama look. Trust me. And last but not least, effective communication. So who can tell me what they think is next? What do you think is next? Anybody? Did I stump you? Anybody, what do you think is next? What do you think?
You take control next.
Take control, that's good. Anybody else?
Always be closing.
Always be what?
Closing.
Yes. Thinking always about the closing, but here we go. Your reputation reps you. When I got into the music industry, an old emperor told me, there are only 2 things as a woman in business you must sacrifice for nothing and no one. That is your opinion and your reputation. Because your reputation represents you when you're not present. So that goes back to what we said before about being able to define you. My reputation, it changes. It constantly changes. I'm nice now because I went from being an executive to now talent. I'm a television host, I'm a journalist. I ain't got to be tough no more. But when I come to a table to negotiate when I'm consulting, I'm still thought of as that tough cookie. And you better be on your P's and Q's because I know how to dot my I's and cross my T's. Yes, I do. Experience has taught me that. And I'm not mad at that reputation. Because that means anybody I come to the table with is ready to do business because they know I do business. I can't stand wasting my time. Hate it. So, there it is. That's my reputation. Some like it, some don't. And that's the last thing. As soon as you know your definition and you're comfortable with it, take pride in it. Have confidence in it. And don't care if somebody doesn't like it. If you like it and that's you, find your space. Because I've got tons of people, 10 years later, have called me when they were getting ready to do a venture because they know she gets it done. So, just like a business card, your reputation is important because most times it is used, heard, and spoken when you are not around to speak for yourself. 4 key questions to ask regarding your reputation. You ready? What do you want others to say about you? Really think about that. When I first started getting into business, I just want people to like me. Foolish. So I used to do everything and run around and make sure that everybody was happy with me. You happy with me? You happy with me? You happy with me? Foolish. Because that was a tool, a manipulation tool. Second, what do people say about you? When I first got into business, they were like, oh, she's so nice, she's such a nice girl. She'll do anything for you, just ask her. She doesn't want money, just ask her. I had to change that to, yo, you want to do business with her, you better come with a budget, and you better come with a plan. I like the last one. The first one, I was like a cat chasing my own tail. I already had my tail, why am I chasing it? Feel me? How do you create and sustain a strong reputation? You live by it. You reiterate it. Your actions and you're an example of it. When you do that, it precedes you. I was also the rep of don't even try to holler at her because she will check you in 3 seconds flat. Yes, I will. Because this ain't the time nor the place to be trying to kick it to me. Are you serious? Are you trying to eliminate me from being a co-worker to a female? Oh, no. You ain't gonna do that on my watch. Y'all better step to the left. And the brothers didn't want to hear the sermon. I said, do you go to your mama and be, yo, mom, I'm your mama right now. I'm your boss. You ain't trying to kick it. No, step to the left with that foolishness. I ain't trying to hear it. But what that did is that separated you. Because now, oh, yo, don't do that. Don't do that. That was my reputation. Don't kick it to her, please. You'll hear an hour sermon and she'll make you feel real bad. And at that time I was married and some guys would be like, well, I'm saying to her, what? Then that became the morality thing. Like, are you really crazy? Like, now I don't even like you because you're showing me you don't have no morals, no values, no this, no that. All right, all right, all right. I was just saying you was cute. Damn. Huh? It's the truth, ladies. You're laughing because you know it's real. And how do I change it if it doesn't define me? That is the most important thing. When I was transitioning from an executive to a talent, I had to change my rep because I was known as a tough cookie. That bitch stuck. And I liked it because you knew how to. But now as a talent, you can't be a hard ass. You gotta be sweet and loving and everybody's gotta like you and you gotta have this nice personality so people want to work with you and hire you because people do business with people they like. So I had to transition it. I could no longer go into the room with my trained eye and say, oh, that's not right, that's not right, that's not right. I had to shut up. I had to teach myself to not open my mouth. You know how difficult that is? For someone like me, it was very difficult. But that's how I changed my reputation. And so now, they're like, okay, she's that businesswoman. She ain't changed, but she's a lot nicer now. We like her a lot nicer now. I make people smile now. Before it'd be like, oh, man. But when I give you that check, then you're like, oh, man, yeah, my girl. Ah! You know what I mean? So it's a give and take. But that give and take is exactly what you need to be a SheEO. So, ladies, that concludes my whole presentation. I hope I didn't take up all of my time because I would like to open the floor for any questions because I feel like this is the real time and the real opportunity to really have a real conversation with women. So does anybody have a question? Yes.
As a SheEO, how or do you have strategies on how you were able to balance, so being the SheEO at work and in your profession, and then coming home to switch it up? What did you do to balance that?
Great question. Lots of times when I came home from work, I needed at least 20 minutes to myself. And I used that with my shower. I used to come home, take my favorite oil, my favorite scent, put it in my shower, and be like, yeah. Okay? And during that shower, I would reflect on some of the things that I did right, some of the things I didn't do so right, some of the things that I need to apologize tomorrow for, some things that I need to stay stronger on. But that was my time to do that transition from work to home, because it's very real. Sometimes you have such a stressful day and you walk into that door and the kid is talking to you and the husband's talking to you and Lord knows what, the dog is going crazy and you're like, ah! You know what I mean? And you don't want to dump that onto them. So you'll be like, let me take my shower and then all the fires I'll put out because I'm home now. Did that help? Cool. Another question? One more question. Come on, somebody give it to me. Yes.
I don't have a question, I have a statement. I've never been in the corporate setting, but I have served corporate women, and you have shed so much light on them for me, you know, what they come into the door with. I've seen that hardness and, you know, the inability to be flexible, the inability to relax and, sometimes be condescending to those who are in the, service of them. And so I've now had a bird's eye view into the environment they come from and why they are the way they are. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you. You know, here's the last thought, because I know we've got to wrap it up, but things are changing. I'm happy to sit here and stand here in front of all of you and say, because of all of you, things are changing. But I can't think of the woman that said it, but she said, trying to be like a man is a waste of a woman. And so what we as women, and that's the reason why I wrote this book, we as women have to learn how to lead being a woman, being a SheEO, not a CEO. Because the empathy, the compassion, all of these wonderful characteristics, and it's been proven statistically and analytically that when a woman is at the helm, the company does better. And that's because of those. So it's that transition, because we've had to be that, because we were in a room full of men, and they set the standard. So thank you for that. Well, ladies, you know how to reach me. Thank you very much.